Hi everyone, thanks again for joining on Monster TV MTV. Today we're going to talk about how to paint streak free. Now many of you might be starting to paint, the weather's good now, many of you are out there painting. It's that part of the year where we start to get out and look at where we need to repaint the home, either inside or out. And often we see DIYers or renovators spend some serious dollars on paint and they end up with a lot of streaks and not quite sure why they can't achieve what the professional painter gets. With some careful guidance and paying attention to a few key points, you can ensure you have a streak-free painted wall. So firstly, always keep a wet edge. So when you are painting large walls, ensure that you don't let the edge that you're just about to continue on with dry out. Things like priming the wall first is important, and not letting the area be too dry and warm firstly, because that'll absorb and suck it up and you end up with that dry edge, and it's always difficult to then get that wet edge working in. Good quality paints will always allow you good working time to ensure that you've got a nice wet edge and it blends in nicely as you're going up and down that wall. Secondly, lay it on and then smooth it off. Don't skimp out when you're painting and try and work that paint into the surface over and over to the point where you actually are working it in and you're creating things like those dry edges. You've got to ensure that to get that smooth finish. Don't be afraid to put the paint on in a nice liberal coat and then you can smooth it off. That is the key, and you'll see, you can actually hear it on the roller and you'll see how it actually works on it. Always good to actually try a little spot on a wall or a surface first to see the difference so you can get the right technique. I normally keep a piece of timber or board near me and actually try that out first so I get the technique right, so when I start on the wall I get the perfect finish that I want. The other thing, thirdly, don't stay in too far away from the wall. Get close up and personal with your paint. So if you're painting, you don't want to be stretching out with your brush. You need to be there. Remember the Karate Kid? Wipe on, wipe off, paint on, brush on, brush on. For those who don't remember, get that and Mr. Miyagi will show you how to do it. Really important that you stay close to it, okay, with both the roller and your brush, particularly the brush work. With roller frames, you can have the extension poles, but with your brush work, that is the key because you can get a better feel for it and you get a nicer finish with it. The other thing is, if you get any lumps in your paintwork on the wall, remove them while it's wet. Okay, don't let it dry and think, I'll sand this off after. If you see it, you can get up to it, you get a card or a little spatula, remove those lumps, and then you can actually brush or roll over that while it's wet, and it just all blends in nicely. If you wait till after, you can always see those sand marks, and then you've got to give it another recoat, which can take you longer. And sometimes from a distance you'll see that in certain lights, depending on what type of gloss paint you've got. So get rid of those lumps while the paint is wet. And the last one, which people often forget, and it's their second coat, which is the coat where you give it that nice tight coat, as we call it. We tend to forget how to treat our rollers, particularly after the first coat. Okay, when you are actually going to keep your roller fresh, a lot of people put Glad wrap over them and to keep it fresh for the second coat, but remove all the excess paint first. Don't have that body of roller just saturated with paint and think I'll just put some Glad wrap or plastic around that to keep it wet. Remove the excess paint. The idea is just to stop the roller from drying out, but you don't want paint to be building up in that roller because it will slightly dry, and then when you come out and give that second coat, those streaks will start to show and you'll be really annoyed, and you don't want that. So ensure you get that excess paint off the roller first. If you'd like any advice on this one, we have got one of the best paint specialists in the Australian market, Tony, who's one of our go-to pros. He can give you some advice and tips on the paint work. Book a time with him if you like, and you've got the Monster Shop to get the favourite paint that you want, any white, or white that you want. So get the right white, but we're here for you. Love to see your photos on any of your work with your renovation, your paint job. Throw them our way. And don't forget, you've got Monster Go To, and you can subscribe if you want more information. I'll see you next time.